Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Panther build. In this episode we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're currently not in my garage, we're in my outbuilding. That's mainly because I don't want to get my garage coated in metal sparks and ruin the paintwork on my nice new finished scrambler. Reason being, we're out here, we're going to be chopping up the bike. So yeah, we should hopefully get a bit of change at the end of this video, so stay tuned, it should be a good video. Okay, so today's video is going to look at the frame in a little bit more detail. Last few videos we focused on building the pie cut exhaust. I've put that to the side. I've got all my fabrication and lining up of the exhaust done to as far as I can go right now, but I need to develop the welding skills. Clearly my welding skills are not where they should be as of some of the comments I got in my last videos, but that's fine, that's all part of the learning. But I believe my welding skills are okay enough to weld thick mild steel to mild steel. So today we're going to look at how we're going to modify the frame to take the battery box. So anyone who's watched this, all 5 of you, I really appreciate you. You're my loyal fans. You're the reasons I make these videos. Please don't leave me. This battery box, I made it in a video. It's quite unusual, but it matches the profile of the frame beneath the frame. I made a decision about 6 weeks ago that I didn't want a nice empty space underneath my bike. I think I've come to the conclusion that I actually prefer Brat style builds or bikes to have side panels on them. I think they look a bit fuller and it's like they're a bit more swole. Which I think looks good on a bike. So especially with this bike, XS850 hasn't got a lot of weight around the back end of the bike. You can't change the back tyre because it runs, well you maybe could, but you can't go that far. You're kind of limited by what do you call it, shaft drive, which means you can't really go and shove a huge wide wheel on because you've got to keep the internal hub to allow the bike to drive. So yes, there's other options, but not a huge amount of options. So you can't really beef up the bike by putting big fat wide tyres on it or otherwise. So I can't remember what I was talking about there. Yeah, I've got side panels. With those side panels, I wanted to make a battery box that hides beneath them. It gives me more room to hide all my electricals, my lithium ion battery that I've got, and my what's it called, that funny little box I've got. Axles used, B-box, yes, we'll do another video on that. But this needs to be mounted in place. Right now it just kind of sits between the frame rails, but I need to put some mounting points in place. The bike had this weird, one of the previous owners, I don't know whether it was a guy who bought it off, I don't think it was, but a previous owner had fitted some 2-3 mil thick steel plating on the inside of the frame rails, which is fine, but I need it out of the way. So I've already cut it out of the way above where my battery box is going to go, because I obviously want to load it in from the top. But he's also got that further back, or the owner had put that further back towards the back frame loop. Looking at the frame loop, it's needing filled with weld. It's a pretty shitty looking weld that's on there. I wouldn't trust the weld that's on there. If I can see it's cracked just by grinding away the paint slightly, then it's probably not good enough for what I want. So I'm actually changing my tact here, where I saw a helicopter outside and I got distracted. I'm changing my tact slightly where I'm actually going to chop off the frame loop. Every single bike you see these days has a frame loop welded on. I've seen a few examples where there's no frame loop. This exhaust, this bloody helicopter's making loads of noise. I've seen bikes without a frame loop, which I think I can make this look quite cool. I've got an idea to try and embed my brake lights within the space that's left in the holes, but I've not developed that further yet. But we'll show you roughly what I'm thinking of in this video. So I'm going to chop off my frame loop, but I need to create space to allow me to do that and to get this metal plating out of the way. So that's one of the jobs for today. Secondly, when I initially chopped away this plating before, in the middle part of the bike, I'll do some cutaways, it left some unsightly marks, which will make difficulty for trying to get my my mounting points in place. So I'm going to attack this as well and tidy it up, just so we've got a nice place to put the molds on, the mounting points on. I'll then bring the bike into the garage and get those points put in place, and that'll allow me to get this sitting nicely. So not a huge amount to do, but tasks that have needed me to clear space and get this bike out of the garage, because I don't want any of these sparks are going anywhere. So let's get the grinder fired up and we'll get some chopping done. Sounds good. As always, my sex offender safety glasses. Just before we start, on the subject of t-shirts, yes, you can get this on my site. I really appreciate the folks that have bought t-shirts, especially throughout this lockdown. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. It's a lovely gesture. Just that anyone gives a shit enough about to buy a t-shirt or whatnot. So thank you for the patience in time taken to get t-shirts out. It's obviously slowed down a little bit with the company I use, a drop shipping company, to send things out, so they're taking a little bit longer. But my plan is to obviously start getting more designs released, so if people want to see them, I don't know what I'm saying. Thank you, it's appreciated. I will keep making videos, especially for the folks that have helped support me. So cheers, dudes. So first of all, we're going to focus on just tidying up this little bit, get rid of some of the raggedy edges, and then we shall, once those raggedy edges are cleaned up, I'm going to have a little look quickly at the front part. As it stands, there's this weird janky ass, what looks to be homemade. I need to check off my other XS850, but I can't remember anything like this being in there, so need to have a look about that. And so that's for a seat mount. For me, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with my seat yet, so yeah, I don't want to cut it off, or I don't know what to do with that, but I'm not sure how my seat's going to look. So but that's definitely getting in the way of this. Or maybe not. That gets in the way slightly of where I want to mount this. I think this needs to come forward, and where I want to mount this needs to come forward. In reality, I think this will actually be like this. It might work, I don't know. I want this to come in from the top, so if anything, I might have to chop this off and make something else. Easy done. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! You get the point. Almost there. Ooh, chap bugger. Right, so it turns out this is alright, this is free, but it's been welded all the way around here, but I don't really need to cut this out. All I need to do is cut the loop off at a distance. I'm not entirely sure where yet. I think on my last build I chose directly in line with the rear axle. That normally gave quite a nice visual line. So I'll probably start there, or start a little bit back, and then I can always neaten it up once I figure out, or shorten it. It's always easier in these situations to cut longer. But first, some courage juice. Awesome. So in this little video you see me shoving my finger into the back of the bike, and that's touching slugs that this previous owner's obviously put in place to help weld and give a bit of structural rigidity to the Cafe Racer loop. That's good. Well, it's good practice because it gives you a much stronger weld. Shame the weld looked like complete dog shit and forced me down a completely different design route. What that means for me is that I now need to figure out, they're solid steel as well, they're not little, when I made these in the past I just had smaller tube that I went in and then did a plug weld and it was fine, it was a nice strong joint, but he's put in solid mounts. I'm assuming it's a he. But I need to try and figure out where those mounts end. So and whether he's plug welded them in, which I assume they would have, otherwise why the hell would you put those big solid bits of metal in? If they have been plug welded in, it may mean that I cannot come far. I might not be able to be perfectly in line with my rear wheel for where I want my sorry, I'm just having a think, where I want my seat to finish, or where I want the end of my bike to finish. It may mean that I may have to come along a few more inches so I can cut my frame that way and not have it. The reason this is an issue for me is I am going to put little lights in, and I want to shove lights into these holes, which I think will look quite smart. So when you look down the back of the bike you see brake lights. Currently I can only buy brake lights, but I'm thinking some time spent on RS components might allow me to find brake lights and indicators combined into one that I can then run in a little bushing that's welded in or threaded in or whatever I choose to do in here, which is fine. That's something we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But the reason I need there to not be ruddy, great big solid steel sections in the middle of my frame is because I want to run cable through that into an outlet somewhere along here, or even if I just run cable a little bit before it hops into the battery tray, it would look a lot neater. Especially, yeah, so I need these to be out. So it might be a case of trial by error, chopping these and before I get to the shock mount, and that's where he's put this big 70mm long bit of steel or something. Hopefully not. Yeah, really hopefully not. Jesus. I think we'll be alright. I don't think there's any real way to tell. I could possibly drill this middle bit. I might drill that. I might go drill that and see how far it is. Give me an idea as to how far I think it might be. This. It looks quite shit anyway, like the metal, I don't know if you can see it, I'm being quite pernickety, but it doesn't really follow and yes, if you powder coat it and everything it'll get nice, but I think the point I was going to cut it off was just going to be at the join, but if I come back to where the host metal is a bit nicer, that might actually be a bit better. So obviously running the drill through has got to about there, but then my drill bit's not long enough, but to be honest, in reality it's there or thereabouts. I think I'm going to try and just cut just a centimetre next to where that is. Still gives me plenty of room. Oh God's sake. Oh come on. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, so that worked out quite well. Just use the tape to help mark where, as best I can, to get a straight line. Obviously it can be quite difficult sometimes to make sure you're perfectly vertical, so that seemed to do alright. I've tried again with the file, sorting out the file of the square, and these are both pretty good. It's a little bit, yeah, maybe it's a little bit off when you see it, but it's fine, we'll tidy that up. It's a little bit further forward than planned, but I think if I remember correctly, the loop, it was the end of the loop that finishes there. If you imagined on my red bike, the end of the loop finished there. So maybe it's not as short as it would be. To be honest, we didn't have much option, so I can always make my seat slightly longer, but with these bits stopping short with tail lights. So I'll figure out what to do later. I've got some tail lights I can show you, so I'm going to tidy these up. There's loads of little bits left over. Don't know if you can see that very well. Just some bits and pieces here that need tidied up. So and then once I've got the flapper disc on, I'm going to tackle these bits as well, and then it'll be a case of seeing what do we need to do to get this battery box in place. I think we'll probably have to modify this. This doesn't actually feel that sturdy. I know it's only a mounting brace, but I've got some heavier duty steel, so I think I might try and incorporate some kind of seat mount and battery box holder, and I'll cut this out. We'll see, we'll have a look. It's welded directly to the frame. I don't want to be cutting into the frame too much if I can avoid it. You can see that very well. But in the same vein, this doesn't, I don't think this serves my purpose. I thought I'd play about with some of the funky settings on my camera for that little segment there, so I thought it was quite cool. Let me know what you think. I'll try and do some more of those. But anyway, so I've sanded most of this down. It's okay. It's in an ideal world. Once I get the bike all apart ready for powder coating, I will give it a once over to remove and do that final check of making sure everything's nice and smooth and whatnot. So I think there's a little dog. It's been a while, he's not as much a little dog anymore. I think now, Owl, stop that, we will look at the front section of the seat and figure out what we need to do with it. I have I don't know if it's in here, but I have this used to be my old storage area for some of my XS850 bits, but I've got a fiberglass seat base that I made, original fiberglass seat base, so I'm going to go and bring that over here just to kind of get it mocked up to see what it looks like. Sorry, Jesus Christ. Come on, stay still. I'm going to bring that over here and see what it looks like on the frame, and then that'll help me decide what I need to do. That I kind of made a decision that current thing is not going to stay. I'd rather do it myself with something that's more suited to me. I'd quite like to get it so that my front seat goes in and then sits back, which it needs a bit of work to get it to do that, and then it sits into a nice clip in the back or whatever. So having said that, I just chopped the back of the bike off, so that may need to be rethinked. But I'm going to go get the fiberglass seat base and put this little turd inside because he's annoying me. I'm just kidding. You're a little turd though. Oh god. Alright, I forgot to take a video, clever me. But what I'm going to do is just, these bits here aren't actually all welded all the way around, so I'm just going to try and get in and lift this. Hello. So 10-15 minutes with the angle grinder, and I've cleaned this area up. Now we are in a position to try and mount this battery box. There's no more obstructions, that cross panel's gone, cross thing is gone, so yes, I'll probably put something back in, but it needs to be suited to what I need. So we're going to probably wheel the bike back into the garage and continue the fabrication of these little mounts. And the garage is quite busy at the moment. I've got scrambles in there at the moment and everything else, so I need to go rejig that and we'll get started on this. Alright, so we've got the bike back in the garage now, not through lack of almost putting my back out because it's a heavy piece of shit. But anyway, we now need to put a couple of brackets on just to hold this battery box in place. So really simply, you've seen this crudely drawn sketch. This is actually meant to be a bike. This is the area where the battery box is going to sit in. So this back brace is already in place. I think for the back of my battery box, I'm simply just going to weld a couple of little tabs on. I can then drill a hole through once I finally align the battery. And then for the front, I'm going to weld just a cross brace at this point. Purely because I don't know exactly what I need to do in the middle, but I'll have a hole here and here, and then the battery box can just sit in nicely and get bolted in place. So this leaves options open for me to try and either build something else very similar to what I just cut off. Nah, I don't know what I'm going to do here yet. I've been looking at different mounts and latches and everything else, so I'm going to turn that horrible sketch into something that sits nicely into here. So bracket, bracket, cross brace. Straightforward, hopefully shouldn't take too long. Let's go get the metal cut up and we can weld it in place. Okay, so I have got this so it fits quite nicely now. I guess that's not the best view, but what you can see is that I've angled the bits and pieces slightly, just to go around with the curve of this. So I think I might just try and hold it. Obviously an important bit is to make sure this is not really high or really low, so the battery box, one at the other side, sits at the same height, so that the battery box actually sits level rather than looking like it's about to fall off. So I'm going to try and just tack this in place at the moment, and then we'll move on to the other side and see how it looks. Hello. One thing that I am excited about that's just turned up is not Rufus, although I do like you, Rufus, but a foot pedal for my welder. I used one of these fairly sweet Jesus, get out of the way. I used one of the, never mind, bloody dog. I've used one of these foot pedals recently, and it just seemed to make welding with a TIG welder, it just seemed to make much more sense. There's a lot more control, you can dial back the amperage, so it saves you blowing holes in things, which as a noob it's probably something that I'll do quite a lot and have done quite a lot. So I've used it already, it's quite cool, so I'm going to look forward to using it on here. I also bought a nice new CK9 CK Worldwide CK9 TIG torch, a little bit smaller. That's to help me weld this exhaust, but unfortunately the big cup that you get that I've also ordered hasn't actually turned up yet. So tonight I'll still use my existing TIG pedal, but my TIG torch, but I'll be using the pedal to help mount this stuff in. So alright, excuse the lid. I've just got these bits welded on now. I just plodded ahead and got them welded in place, and to be honest I'm quite happy with where they are. The welds look okay, quite chuffed with that. That foot pedal is a bit of a miracle worker for welds. You have a bit more time, you can control it. I don't know, one of the things I struggled with was I had to move straight away as soon as I started welding, and I'd seen people welding online and I was just like, why the hell are they not burning stuff? So yeah, that seems to have helped a little bit. So one thing to point out is that the battery box is probably slightly too long in the back. When the thing goes in, you notice that it's just a little bit too long. It's kind of resting on the back, so instead of me having to space up this, I'm just gonna, I kind of want it shorter anyway. It shouldn't be sitting on the back, so that will bring it lower and it will bring it more in line with the frame. So so now the plan is to get the front sorted. I'm going to cut out a wee template. I might even use my little angle finder. I can use, this is the bit I'll use for the front, so I could either try and set that up so it's square and then take the angle of both these bits off, and then I'll use that to cut this. This is only going to serve as my base for my battery box. I need to do something else once I figure out how I'm actually going to mount the top, the seat to this, but this will do for now. I think this is 3mm thick. It's only supporting the seat. Some of the seat, the majority of the seat is going to be supported on these chassis rails. I like my seats to obviously lie on the chassis rails itself, so it's only going to be holding part of the seat, so it's not huge. It doesn't need to be hugely thick. So let's go and try and make this little bracket and see how we get on. Okay, so we have our master crafted bracket right here. Here. This is way harder than you think it would be. Anyway, I've thingied the edges, chamfered the edges, so we're just going to put it in place. See what it looks like. That looks great. I think that fits nicely. And I'm getting a phone call. So I need to be sure that it's far enough forward. That's fine. I might just weld this now. Get it tacked in. Christ. Turn that welder on, that would help. So I'm quite chuffed with how that went. I'm still fairly new to this welding malarkey, so especially with the TIG welders. So the welds seem to look alright. They're neater than they have been for a while. I'm not going to give you too many close-ups, I'll just do a quick pan, but don't judge me that much. But yeah, I think that's good. I've now got a place for my battery box to go, so that looks level, it looks square with the rest of the frame, so I'm quite chuffed with that. So gonna leave that at the moment, and we'll quickly show you what the backlights are going to look like, because I said I would do that earlier on. So let's just get them set up and we'll do a little run through of what they'll look like. So I'm really chuffed at how that turned out. It wasn't exactly the most difficult thing in the world. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this LED sorted. It wasn't exactly the most difficult thing in the world in terms of complexity of the mounts, but I'm just really happy that that pedal seems to be a bit of a game changer for my welding. So several people recommended that, so thanks, that's really helped me. Quickly now, so I'm going to leave the battery box at the moment because I want to get this video finished and uploaded, because there's more I want to focus on. So I need to trim the back of the battery box. Probably need to order some bandsaw blades. I can actually turn my bandsaw into a vertical table like type bandsaw, but I'll use a Dremel or something to cut off and try and maintain a straight edge, or even use the angle grinder and try and maintain a straight edge. But I'm not going to do that tonight. So once that's done though, I'll be able to drill a few holes in, tap the metal probably that I've put in place, so I can then just thread a bolt straight into that. So probably should have done that before I welded it in. Never mind. Right, these here are the LEDs that I've bought. Now I just bought this as like a little sample, not because I really like them. I bought them because they were a tenner and I want to test the concept that I've got, which is to use the LEDs in the back here. So hopefully you can see this all right, but got my battery in place. Obviously I will drill a hole in here, but just so you can get an idea in the short term, don't know how far I'll go in with them, but go like that. And go. It's a nice bright LED. Ideally, I'd quite like to try and find an LED that's also an indicator. Kind of like those Kellerman ones, but not at 85 quid a pop or whatever they are, because I don't need those Kellerman ones bolt in place and they don't actually go inside. So I'm going to do a little bit of digging. I think there's a few different types of LED you get. I've been doing a little bit of research, so once I get a bit more confident as to what LED does what, I might try and see if I can get hold of some and get them rigged up. But for the meantime, this will be good. I think what I might do is, because these have got a thread in them, whatever I do end up with, it might be that I just get a tight fitting, something that goes in here, or I can machine something out. I've actually potentially got myself a small hobbyist mill from somebody in Aberdeen that's a really cool dude. So if I do get that, I might try my hand at making some small bushings or whatever to help with these lights. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that, making sure, figuring out that problem. But I said a lot. So yeah, take home points from this video. That a foot pedal helps tremendously with welding. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in with that. Next in the cards, obviously do those bits of trimming and everything for the battery box, and then start thinking about how the electrics are going to look. Start filling that battery box, start running some electrics. I've got some cabling. The main reason I want to do that is I kind of want to still get the bike started, so if I can get more permanent electrics in situ, change out the ignition for the more modern ignition. I've got a rebuild kit for some of the old carbs, which are the Mark II Mikunis. I've got some rebuild kits for that because I didn't want to be fighting. One of my biggest mistakes with the Scrambler was that I was constantly fighting variables, unknown variables. So I changed the carbs, I changed certain things, and I just can't be arsed with that. So I know that if I put original carbs on the bike, I can get it running. If I put a good ignition on the bike, I can get it running. So I just kind of want to hear it purr. In the background, I've got a few other projects, DIY projects I'm working on. You can see in a little cutaway here, I've been working on a design for a fire pit. So I'm using that to help develop my welding skills a little bit more. So quite a leisurely build pace this time, quite enjoying it. I'm thinking a lot, probably overthinking some bits. The length of time it's taken me to weld on 3 shitty little brackets and cut off the back end of the bike because I make the videos at the same time is ridiculous, but it's all part of the enjoyment. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I'm trying to reduce the video's length as I go along, just because not everyone wants to sit and watch a 55-minute saga of me up an old motorbike. So thanks for watching again. Take it easy. See you next time in a couple of weeks when we've got a little bit more to talk about. Tell all your friends, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy, folks.